When I stepped off the train in Savannah, Georgia, the air felt just as heavy as I remembered, thick with humidity and a silence that pressed against my chest. No one was waiting. No welcome home signs. Not even a text from my father. But I didn't come back for greetings. I dragged my worn duffel bag across the cracked pavement of the station, past rows of moss-covered oaks that leaned like old secrets. The house was still the same too. White siding peeling, the porch sagging, a wind chime clinking like it didn't know what song to play anymore. My mother opened the door before I knocked. She looked me up and down, her face unreadable. "Your room's still upstairs," she said flatly. "Your father's at work. Jacob might stop by later." That was it. No hug, no warmth. Just instructions, like I was a houseguest who'd overstayed once before. I walked in, set my bag down, and let my eyes adjust to the memories. Family photos lined the mantel. All of them featured Jacob, awards, business conferences, a photo with the CEO of Veritas Dynamics. Not a single one of me. But I wasn't here to take up space on a wall. Tomorrow morning, I'd be standing across from that same CEO as a senior strategy officer from the Defense Intelligence Agency. They don't know that yet. Tonight, they'll still call me a disappointment. But tomorrow, my father's boss will call me something else entirely. "Good morning, Dr. Lennox. It's an honor." And that's when everything will change. I took the stairs slowly, one hand on the rail that still had the same crack near the bottom, the one I'd made when I was 12, racing Jacob to the top. My old room was at the end of the hall, the door slightly ajar. Nothing had changed. Same faded blue wallpaper, same twin bed with the sunflower quilt, same poster of the solar system curling at the edges above my childhood desk. It smelled like old books and furniture polish, as if time had tried to preserve what we all knew was already gone. I set my duffel on the bed and unzipped it, careful. Buried beneath a layer of civilian clothes was the dark navy suit I'd had tailored for DIA formal briefings. I ran my hand along the fabric, fingers brushing against the silver badge stitched over the breast. Department of Defense, Strategic Operations. Not yet. I folded it back, just like I had hundreds of times before, and slid it beneath the bed. Downstairs, the hum of the dishwasher filled the silence. I passed the kitchen on my way out to the porch and caught a glimpse of my mother wiping down the counter like it was her way of avoiding conversation. I didn't say anything. Neither did she. Outside, the porch swing still creaked in that slow, rhythmic way it always had. I sat. The wood was colder than I expected. Across the street, the Jenkins boy, now grown, was mowing his lawn with headphones on, oblivious to the weight pressing down on this house. They think I left because I couldn't handle failure. They think I dropped out of my MBA because I didn't measure up. But what they never understood was that I left because something in me couldn't stay quiet anymore. I wanted to be where decisions mattered, where silence could cost lives, not boardroom points. I joined the military, then intelligence. I learned quickly how to move without making noise, how to see what others missed, how to lead without applause. The missions changed me. The people changed me. And now, so did the stakes. Jacob was the family's crown jewel now. Every call was about his latest project. Every holiday card featured him shaking hands with someone in a suit. I was the blank space in the family narrative. Forgotten, revised, removed. But tomorrow, when I walk into Veritas Dynamics to oversee the final clearance process for their tactical AI platform, I won't be Rachel the dropout. I'll be Dr. Rachel Lennox, Senior Officer, Department of Defense Intelligence. And when my father realizes the person scrutinizing his son's project isn't a stranger, but his daughter, maybe he'll finally look at me. Not like I'm a mistake, but like I was always the one they never saw coming. Dinner smelled like memory. Roast chicken with rosemary, baked squash with brown sugar, cornbread so buttery it stuck to the knife. My mother had even set the table with the floral porcelain plates she used to save for Easter. There were candles in the center, real ones. That almost made me laugh. They were performing. I took my seat at the far end of the table, the same seat I had as a kid. Far enough from the spotlight, close enough to listen. My father came in next, loosened his tie, and gave me a curt nod. He didn't ask how my trip was. He didn't ask why I was back. He just pulled out his chair and looked at his phone. Jacob entered last. He looked like a magazine ad. Crisp navy blazer, button-down shirt. That Veritas Dynamics lapel pin catching the light like it had a story to tell. My mother practically floated across the room to hug him. "Oh, sweetheart, your hair's getting long," she cooed, brushing an invisible speck from his collar. "You look so professional. Celeste must be thrilled to have you." "She says I've been a stabilizing force," Jacob replied with a soft chuckle. "We're finalizing the control module now." My father reached across to shake his hand. "You're making history. This kind of AI could define the next decade. You should be proud." He didn't say that to me. He hadn't said anything at all. I reached for my water. No one noticed. The food was good. Impeccable, really. My mother hadn't lost her touch, but the warmth never reached the table. The space between us felt like a negotiation, every gesture choreographed, every word pre-cleared for civility. Then came the toast. "To Jacob," my mother said, raising her glass, "our brilliant son, the first in the family to work on a national defense project. We are so proud of everything you're becoming." Clinks of crystal followed. My father lifted his glass with quiet pride. Jacob gave the world's most practiced, humble smile. "I'm just honored to have the team's trust. Tactical AI is tricky. It needs caution, vision, but we've worked hard. Veritas is ready for the final board review." I looked up at him then. He said it like I wasn't even in the room. I set my fork down gently. "That's interesting," I said, adjusting the sleeve of my shirt, "because I believe that review is scheduled for tomorrow morning." Jacob glanced at me, then back at his plate. "Yeah, someone from Washington is flying in." "They are," I said. "That would be me." The room stilled. Even the candle flame seemed to hesitate. My mother blinked. "What do you mean?" "I've been appointed as the Department of Defense's strategic oversight lead for this project," I said. "Starting with tomorrow's technical audit." Jacob's mouth opened, then closed. My father frowned like he was trying to rewind a memory that didn't exist. "You're the DIA liaison?" Jacob finally managed. "Senior strategy officer, technically, but yes." My mother looked between us. "Rachel?" "Why didn't you say anything?" I took a breath. Not sharp, not defensive, just calm. "Because I didn't come back for a spotlight," I said. "I came back to do my job." Jacob was still staring, processing, fighting. This is unbelievable," he said. I stood, folding my napkin beside my untouched plate. "You'll find it's well documented," I replied. No one moved. I turned to leave, stepping out of the dining room without another word. Behind me, the clink of silverware paused. My mother's breath hitched. My father didn't even reach for his wine. And Jacob finally realized the hierarchy he had always believed in wasn't as solid as it once felt. Veritas Dynamics headquarters looked like it had been designed to impress generals. A sleek glass and steel building rising out of the heart of Savannah's innovation corridor. Security was tight. Badges scanned twice. Eyes checked once more. I passed through each level like I belonged, because I did. I wore the tailored navy suit, badge clipped perfectly in place. DIA crest on one side, my name on the other, Dr. Rachel Lennox, Strategic Operations, DoD. A junior officer walked beside me, handing over the hard copy presentation deck. "Room 3C, front row reserved," he said. "They're expecting someone from Washington, but I didn't realize it was—" He trailed off. I didn't correct him. I nodded once and kept walking. Outside the glass-walled conference room, I paused. Inside, Jacob stood center stage, pointing at a screen displaying a tactical battlefield overlay. The AI ran real-time response simulations, clean, polished, impressive to anyone who hadn't seen what happened under the surface. I stepped in just as he was explaining the fail-safe protocol. No one noticed at first. Until Celeste Hammond, CEO of Veritas Dynamics, turned her head. Her eyes met mine, sharp, curious. Then, recognition. She stood. The room followed. "Dr. Lennox," she said, striding over with precision. "It's an honor to have you with us." "Miss Hammond," I returned evenly. Likewise. I could feel it behind me, the ripple. My father sat 2 rows back, frozen. Jacob stopped mid-sentence. The slide behind him hung in awkward silence. Celeste Hammond turned, sharp-eyed and graceful, walking straight toward me. Dr. Lennox, she said again, extending her hand. It's an honor to have you with us. But behind me, someone else spoke, low, surprised, and unmistakably awed. My father's boss. That's the colonel, he muttered to the person beside him. He wasn't wrong, not in the way that mattered. I wore no rank on my shoulders, but in that moment, with the room adjusting itself around my presence, it might as well have been stitched into the air. I wasn't aware we'd be evaluated at this level, Celeste said, voice still polished, but edged with respect. The DoD takes tactical AI seriously, I replied. Your platform has potential. That's exactly why it requires proper scrutiny. I took my seat. First row, center. DIA folder open on my lap, pen in hand. Jacob resumed, but his rhythm was fractured now. His voice too controlled. He skipped a slide. When he moved to the section on predictive threat analytics, I raised a hand. Calm, direct. Mr. Lennox, I said, could you clarify which version of the encryption subroutine is currently embedded in Layer 3 of the response algorithm? He blinked. Version 7.5, under Team Alpha's deployment. I nodded. That contradicts what was submitted to DIA last week. Version 7.5 was flagged for latency drift exceeding response tolerance under Stress Test 9B. Was that addressed post-submission? He hesitated. I believe engineering pushed a hotfix, which wasn't documented. I didn't say it to humiliate him. I said it because lives depended on this system working under pressure. The room was silent, not hostile, just alert. I looked up again, steady. I'm not here to undermine anyone's work. I'm here to ensure that what we approve can be trusted with lives. No room for shortcuts. Celeste nodded slowly. Understood. Your transparency is appreciated. The review continued for 2 more hours. I asked 3 more questions, each one precise, rooted in field data. Not once did I raise my voice. Not once did I need to. When it ended, I stood and closed the folder. My preliminary report will be submitted by Friday. Final status pending Oversight Board's sign-off. Celeste offered her hand again. We'll be ready. As I exited, I passed Jacob without looking at him. But I felt his stare, tight, confused, a little betrayed, maybe even impressed. And somewhere behind him, my father sat still. For once, he didn't say a word. Because now, everyone in that room knew exactly who I was. The backyard hadn't changed. Same crooked stone table near the oak tree. Same rusted wind chimes swaying under the back awning. Same faint smell of cut grass and Georgia clay after a long day of southern sun. I stood at the edge of the patio, watching them. My father leaned against the stone table, arms crossed in that way he always used when he felt both defensive and ashamed, but didn't know which to show first. Jacob was pacing in small, tight loops near the garden beds, scuffing his sneakers in the dirt. My mother sat on the porch swing, twisting a napkin in her lap like it might unravel the tension she had no words for. No one spoke. So I didn't either. I walked toward them slowly, every step cutting through years of unspoken things. Jacob was the first to break the silence. So this is who you are now? His tone wasn't mocking, just brittle, like he was trying to rebuild something in his head, and none of the pieces fit anymore. This is who I've been, I replied evenly. You're just seeing it now. He stopped pacing. You embarrassed me, in front of Celeste, in front of the board. I looked at him directly. That wasn't my goal. But if your code had passed review, I wouldn't have had to say a word. You could have given me a heads up. I couldn't, I said, quiet but firm. That would have compromised the review. You know that. He ran a hand through his hair. You sound just like one of them now. I nodded. Maybe because I've been doing the work for longer than you think. This wasn't about showing anyone up, Jacob. It was about protecting a system that people will depend on when bullets are flying. He flinched at that. My father spoke next. Sweetheart, you could have told us who you were working for. We wouldn't have judged. You already did, I said softly. Years ago, when I left school, when I didn't follow the plan, when I didn't become a somebody in your eyes. My mother's voice wavered. You scared me. All that danger, the deployments, the classified work. It felt like you were disappearing. I turned to her. I wasn't disappearing. I was building something. You just didn't ask what. She looked down at the napkin again. Jacob sighed. I thought you left because you couldn't cut it, because you weren't strong enough. I left, I said, because no matter what I did, I was always one mistake away from being written off, and I couldn't keep proving my worth to people who'd already decided it didn't exist. He looked away, silent. I didn't come back to hurt anyone, I continued, but I also won't apologize for doing my job well. If the project has flaws, it's not personal, it's professional, and I will never look the other way again, not even for family. My father stepped forward, slower this time. I underestimated you. That's not what hurt, I said. What hurt was how easy it was for you. He closed his eyes. I'm sorry, Rachel, truly. Jacob looked up again. This time, no defensiveness, just fatigue. You really believe in what you do, don't you? I do. He stepped forward, hesitant, then offered his hand. I didn't take it. I pulled him into a hug, not to win, not to make a point, but because in that moment, I didn't need to be right. I just needed to be seen. 6 months later, autumn had turned DC into a painting. Burnt orange leaves blanketing the sidewalks, air crisp with the scent of chimney smoke and distant roasted chestnuts. From my 8th floor apartment, I could see the Capitol dome glowing faintly through the fog. Inside, my kitchen smelled like memory. I'd made beef stew, my mother's recipe, the exact one she used every year on the first cold night. The broth simmered for hours, thick and savory, clinging to the wooden spoon like it knew it mattered. But tonight, I wasn't just recreating a dish. I was rewriting the table it belonged to. When the knock came, I wiped my hands and opened the door. My mother was first, holding a plate of pecan bars with foil too carefully pressed. She looked nervous. My father followed, a bottle of wine in one hand, a printout in the other. Jacob carried a store-bought pie. He gave me a half grin, like he wasn't sure I'd let him in. They stepped inside slowly, looking around my space like it was foreign. Not because it was grand, it wasn't, but because it was mine. Clean lines, bookshelves with field manuals and poetry, a photo of me and General Celia Marlowe, shoulder to shoulder in a briefing room, both of us mid-laugh. 10 minutes later, she arrived too. Tall, poised, silver hair twisted neatly behind her head. Celia had been my commanding officer, then my mentor. Now she was just a part of my life. When my mother saw her, her posture stiffened. But Celia extended her hand first. Mrs. Lennox, she said, your daughter has a mind I would trust in any crisis, and a heart I hope my junior officers learn to match. My mother's lips parted slightly, caught between pride and disbelief. Then she smiled, soft, genuinely. Dinner was served in deep ceramic bowls. Stew, crusty bread, a salad that Jacob actually complimented. It was quiet at first, not awkward, but gentle, as if we all knew something fragile was being built from splinters. Jacob asked questions about field coordination, about how real-time decisions were made during emergencies. I told him about a mission in Romania without revealing names. He didn't interrupt. My father said little until dessert. Then, as I stood to collect the plates, he cleared his throat. Wait, he said. Before you do that. He reached into his coat and handed me a framed photo. It was me, standing at the Pentagon's operations board, flanked by commanders, pointing at a digital map with confidence written across my face. The headline read, DoD strategist leads new era of oversight in tactical AI deployment. I keep this in my office now, he said. When someone asks what my daughter does, I don't say a word. I just show them this. For a second, I didn't breathe. Then I nodded. Thank you. He gave a small smile, the kind I'd never seen him give me. Not once before. Jacob leaned back, hands behind his head. I've started documenting everything, he said. Versioning protocols, team logs, full testing archives. The system's tighter now, more transparent. I smiled. That's what it's supposed to be. My mother reached across the table, her fingers resting gently on my wrist. I'm proud of you, she said. No conditions, no advice, no side comments about when I might settle down. Just that. I let her hand stay there. Later that evening, after they'd gone, Celia and I stood on the balcony. The night was clear. Stars dusted across the sky like they finally had room to breathe. You did it, she said. Not alone. No, she agreed. But you stood your ground long enough for them to finally see where you were standing. I exhaled, not because I needed relief, but because for the first time in years, I wasn't carrying it all by myself.